Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about what's going on at their companies. With us today, I'm happy to have him for the first time ever, Stephen McAuley. He's CEO of Empower Clinics, traded on the CSE under the stock symbol CBDT, fantastic stock symbol. Newly on the OTCQB for our friends in the US under EPWCF, and for our friends in Germany on Frankfurt under 8EC. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, that's going to be a lot of you because the first time we're having Steve on. Who is Empower? They're a vertically integrated CBD life sciences company operating multi-state medical health and wellness clinics. So what does that mean in English? Because that's kind of the corporate jargon. Well, look at this. The company's already got 165,000 patients in their database, generating millions in revenue because they just added on about $4 million US in annualized revenue for 2019. 5 million for 2020. Their latest quarter revenues were up 89%, and growth is going to come from launching a CBD extraction facility. The first capacity there is going to be 6,000 kilograms per year. Here to talk about the company is Stephen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, George. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, we love having you because I'm a big fan. I haven't hid this on social media. I'm a big fan of this space. In terms of retail, I think that's where the next big wins are going to come. Let's talk about your operation. You've got 165,000 patients in your database. Canadian companies who have faltered coming out of the gate would kill for that kind of number. How big of a competitive advantage is it for you to have 165,000 patients in your database?
I think it's a tremendous advantage for us. It's one of the things that attracted me to this opportunity, is having this direct access to patients / customers for the future. And the old Empower Clinics network, which was Oregon State, Washington State originally, already had that patient base of in excess of almost 120,000. When we acquired the Sun Valley Clinics group that we closed in May of this year, we added an additional 45,000 patients. That group there were the dominant player in the state of Arizona by far. I think they certified over 65,000 patients in their history. So you put that group together, 165,000 patients, and growing literally every single day. We've got so much opportunity with them, not just to have our recurring consultation revenue, but as we begin to diversify what a clinic and ultimately our franchise model looks like across the United States and internationally, we have this sort of competitive advantage because we have that ready-made group to go ahead and market to generate much more diversified revenue in the future.
And that's why I wanted to ask you, because if it was just, health and wellness services, I mean, that'd be a nice business, but not necessarily exciting. And we are sitting in this medical marijuana cannabis, world now. What are your plans for, increasing that mix into medical cannabis and CBD for your customers? Because it's not as if they're going to, turn on overnight. So, how do you get them in the clinic? They're getting their services, they're getting their health and wellness, and then transferring them or transition them to medical cannabis and CBD?
Well, for us, again, having that base as a starting point, we have a ready-made, database of customers to begin to campaign to say, hey, by the way, historically, you've come to us only for your medical marijuana card certification and some consultation related to the medical cannabis space. We are now diversifying. We're diversifying in a couple of ways. We are really doubling down on our product strategy. So what that means to us is actually building out retail CBD and health and wellness product sales or kiosks or displays, however you want to refer to them, in every corporate clinic. And as part of our franchise model going forward, the franchisees are required to take on that product strategy out of the gate. So for us, it starts with, let's just start making it available. It's as simple as building some retail kiosk displays in our clinics, putting our own SKUs, our own CBD product line on the shelves, and adding some complementary premium health and wellness products, and letting our customers know it's available to purchase. Go ahead.
And I'm presuming too, you've got some data on this. It's not a case of let's put up some kiosks and hope George will buy. Have you got some numbers on, George comes into your clinic for health and wellness, but how much is George spending on these products outside of your store because you're not up and running?
So this is one of the key factors as we analyze this. So if you think of the model historically, patient comes in, visits with the doctor, gets his consultation, gets qualified for his medical card in the particular state. They then leave the clinic and they go elsewhere and they spend $200. And then next month they spend another $200, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
Historically, the business was getting no share of wallet whatsoever. So when we look at the data in the market, we value these patients at somewhere between $2,400 and $3,000 US per year, because that's what they're spending on these health and wellness products, and particularly CBD-based, treatment options or products themselves. So to the extent that we can start to capture some of that share of wallet, our revenue model dramatically changes overall, and it makes us a much more defensible business model going forward.
Yeah, and given the fact that I'm going to presume, because I haven't been in one of your clinics, they're in the south in the U.S. on the West Coast, but given the professionalism, the environment, the trust that you've already got from people walk in just to get their consultations, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would it be difficult to start converting people to start getting their consultations and buying the product in the same place?
Well, let me give you an example, and this is, not anecdote. This is me, down in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, spending a few days in clinics as these first clinics were being built out with the preliminary retail counters. So we literally put, I think we have 44 SKUs right now on display, nicely put together, professional. And I was witnessing patients come in for their check-in, turn their heads and see the product display, and they literally just walk over. They weren't invited, they weren't pushed, they weren't sold, they just walked over because it was there and on display. And I witnessed people purchase product. Now, we have started our first outbound campaign. So we're very strong at text message outbound campaigns, email campaigns, and outbound telephone call center campaigns to our 165,000 patients. We do it each and every day to book their appointments for consultation, confirm their appointments for consultation, and just follow up with surveys. Hey, how was your visit? So we've got those systems in place already. What we're doing now is shifting that campaign strategy to, hey, by the way, we now have product available in clinics. When you come in for your consultation, be sure to ask about them. Oh, hey, here's your 15% coupon code for the month of August. Don't forget to ask about product. And then finally, by the way, at our new brand of Sun Valley Health under sunvalleyhealth.com, our CBD products are now available online and can be purchased, with your credit card simply from the comfort of your home on your laptop or on your mobile device. So you don't even have to come in. It's no longer that, hey, Sun Valley Health is only about a consultation. Sun Valley Health locations are now full-fledged CBD and health and wellness stores as well.
Steve, that's a perfect segue into, because you keep talking about product. You're not carrying George's CBD brand and Bob's CBD brand. You're actually, because we talked about you being vertically integrated, you're starting to carry your own product. So what does that do for profitability, quality control, and confidence when you're actually trying to sell this to your patients?
Yeah, this is a great topic, and I think that the whole industry is going to need to pay attention to this, and ultimately the FDA is going to force the industry to pay attention to this. So So yes, we're vertically integrated. Let's talk about our product. So we have two major lines, let's call it. We have a product line called Sollievo. Sollievo is an Italian word that means relief. And it's a brand that we own. We're doing more work in our trademarks and how we brand, take that to market on its own. But that product line started with our CBD lotion, and we have formulations for 7 different types of tinctures. We have 4 of them manufactured and on the shelves right now and available online at our shop. The second thing that we have is the Sun Valley Science line of products. So they tend to be gel caps and dissolvables that go under your tongue, have a variety of CBD type formulations for those as well, and they tend to be quite popular in our clinics. Our tincture lines and our gel cap lines right now are proving to be the most popular sellers, and we put those alongside other premium health and wellness brands that we're testing for what the consumer adoption will be. We also are testing and looking at other third-party CBD products that could be complementary to ours, but we certainly do believe in our own formulations and ultimately putting our own R&D and science behind those products. Now, the one thing that I wanted to comment on that you asked is quality. We firmly believe in third-party testing on all our products. We have a sort of a hashtag, which is, what's in the bottle or what's in your bottle, because this concept for the industry of what you portray on the label better be in that bottle in third-party test results. We make our test results publicly available. We're so sort of...
And there's been some concern there, right, Steve? I know in Canada, I think there's a report just recently, a few days ago, that said what the label was telling people wasn't exactly what was inside the product at the end of the day. So that's going to start to become a concern that if you can nip that in the bud, then that's another huge competitive advantage, because you're going to be able to tell people it's coming from us.
Well, it's so true. I mean, the industry, we're seeing, other brands who are being affected by this already, where, they've had the FDA come in, and obviously third-party testing has taken place, and, what was portrayed on the label or how the label described the product was just not within the guidelines. And, you have the situation where the dosage may be too low, or the dosage may be actually too high based on what's described on the label. And, that's just not going to fly going forward. The industry will have to be better than that. And, we're a developing player in this space, but we take, this product, the quality of the product and the representation of the product very, very seriously, because to the extent that we start to get scale with our distribution through franchising and online, we better get it right now and make sure that we stand behind, our products with the real science and real research.
And for people watching at home, I can almost hear people saying, well, what else would a CEO say at the end of the day? That's what they're supposed to say. But the difference, I'm going to just chime in with my 2 cents, which is, the company's already got multiple clinics across multiple states. It's already got 165,000 patients in its database. You can be damn sure that quality is a big deal for you, because the entire business could collapse. You're not a startup who's trying to sell as many bottles as they can and saying whatever you need to say because you just need to get out of the gate. You've already got a big, vibrant, great business going, and you've got to make sure that quality, you don't run into those quality issues. So when Steve says something like that, I'm going to say, as a businessman, this is just when you got to read between the lines. You can bet the company's on it. Let's switch gears, Steve, to growth. All right, your last quarter that just came out a few days ago, 89% growth. That's a fantastic number, and even better when you consider only 2 months of growth from the acquisition were included. Let's talk about where you see growth coming from going forward, because I see it as your organic growth inside your store, and I think we've dealt with that, so we won't go over that. You've got your patients, you're calling them, you're email, texting, phoning, running products with them. Got it. The ones I'm really interested in, the first one is franchising. So you're not stopping here from the sounds of it. You're dominating, you're on the West Coast. What are your franchising plans? Because you've already had your first franchisee application. Is this a nationwide thing, or do you just focus regionally and move slowly?
No, franchising for me is absolutely nationwide, and ultimately I see it developing into international markets as well. Why franchising is so important to me under the Sun Valley Health brand. So we own our own corporate clinics, but I'm a believer in a growth strategy based on franchising because local franchisees know their market. And to the extent that we can get high quality franchisee applicants and ultimately those that sign up, we give them everything. I mean, this is a turnkey brand. We've got 5 years of developing these systems, these processes, technology, those campaign systems that I referred to, text message, email campaigns, call center campaigns. We provide all of that for the franchisee. And in fact, we actually support them in those back office services. We call it a technology package because we know how to do it already. We give them a fully HIPAA compliant EHR system that, again, all of these technology facets, if a franchisee had to try to create those from scratch themselves, you're not talking weeks or months. It's going to take them years to get this stuff
if ever.
So they get that out of the gate. They get the product strategy. They get the brand under Sun Valley Health, and away they go. So franchising for me is a faster, capital light format for this public company to plant flags all over the country quickly. As opposed to, I'm not interested in trying to identify a single clinic in some obscure market to try to acquire. It's too painful, it's too slow, it's very difficult to audit as a public company in the future. I would be potentially interested in a large group that maybe came along as a cluster or consolidations, similar to what we did with Sun Valley clinics, but there aren't very many of those around. And so we believe that this nationwide rollout in franchising is just a tremendous way to get impact in local markets and expand our footprint and get access to patients around the country.
So are you prepared? Are you ready right now to take an application from Maine to Miami, Florida, to Dallas, Texas? This franchise model is ready to expand anywhere, anytime?
So it is done. So franchise law is very strict. It's very prescribed how you operate in the United States. So you have to prepare what's called an FDD, your franchise disclosure document. Your franchise company has to be audited each year. So after the Sun Valley closing, we immediately did our 2019 franchise audit. Sun Valley had already created the franchise program. What we were able to do through the public company is give them the extra capital needed to fully finish the 2019 franchise disclosure document with all the changes that we put in place, particularly around product and the brand. It's done. So right now, and we attended our first franchise expo last month in St. Louis. Next month, we are in the big Chicago franchise show, and we're doing another Cannabis Expo in September as well. So we now have received, I believe, 4 signed franchise applications. We've distributed our franchise disclosure document. We're in negotiations, discussions right now with prospective franchisees for these first markets. So to answer your question, we can receive applications from all the states in the country that are covered and available under national franchise law. And then there are a few states where you have to do an individual state-by-state application. And we've gone out to those particular states right now, paid that application fee, and are awaiting that approval back from that particular state. But it's nationwide right now.
So for people watching at home, because I can feel this question, somebody out there is watching this right now and saying, maybe I should apply for a franchise. Basically, is this a very cost prohibitive? Some franchises are $1 million. Is this cost prohibitive, and how much space, does somebody need if they're interested in this right now?
We've got a very reasonable kind of upfront model in terms of our pricing. So it's not going to cost people a lot of money to get in. They definitely need to have a certain amount of capital available. This is mainly working capital to purchase their initial product, inventory that goes into the store. And then to the extent that their facility needs tenants improvements or TIs to get ready to operate, so they have to account for that as well. And then we have a royalty structure, just like most franchises, and our technology package to support it. I think from a square footage standpoint, we sort of recommend maybe on the small side is probably about 800 square feet in a smaller market, perhaps. And then we could see up to a couple thousand square feet, depending on how many consultation rooms a particular franchisee wants, how big of a reception area, and how big of a product area do they want to dedicate. Because again, we view this, not just as a medical consultation practice, but I really view this as a retail CBD store that, the local neighborhood that they serve becomes aware that they can buy high quality CBD based products and wellness products from that franchisee.
So ballpark, if I may ask, if you want to run 1,000 square foot operation, what kind of franchise fee is someone looking at ballpark, if you have that, or if you can give that?
Yeah, so again, it's in our franchise disclosure document. They would have to certainly come and get that after doing the application. But generally speaking, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 as a upfront franchise fee. You generally are going to need to have anywhere from sort of $100,000 to a couple $100,000 of available working capital to make sure that you get through build out of your location, marketing and advertising, and so on and so forth. But again, the franchise disclosure document has infinite detail on what that looks like. You simply have to contact us. We would send you an application. If the application, sort of is approved, we would then distribute that FDD to you, and the process just begins from there.
All right. Well, that's all for everyone watching at home. Look, you're not just discovering a great potential investment, you're also discovering a great potential business. So, do your due diligence when we're done. Steve, I want to switch the last gear over to you. All right. You've talked a lot about, you came on in January 2019, and there's a reason you came on. Previous management, for lack of a better term, wasn't executing very well. Why should investors put their confidence in you? And the one thing I like is you've talked about systems. Why should they put their confidence in you, and what kind of expertise do you bring that isn't just enthusiasm and optimism, but that those hardcore practices that ensure success?
Yeah, I think it really goes back to kind of my many years at GE Capital, and in the Jack Welch era and into the Jeff Immelt era. I'm Six Sigma certified, and that sort of process improvement mentality really just permeates kind of how I operate generally day to day. And I try to impart that type of operating standard, and I guess a focus on execution. The one thing that has to happen, there's so much velocity in this segment, this industry right now. So one, you just have to have energy, and you have to work hard and know that there really aren't any breaks coming up in the foreseeable future. We have a lot at stake. We represent a board of directors, and we represent shareholders. So we have a responsibility, kind of morally, we have a fiduciary responsibility on behalf of shareholders to deliver results. Results come from hard work, real intelligent thoughtfulness about what we're doing, but we have to execute each and every day. It's hard to be a public company. It doesn't matter whether you're a small cap or a Fortune 500. We have standards that we have to operate to each and every day, each and every quarter, every year. It's rigorous, as you know. So I think from our standpoint, we're bringing execution, because execution, I believe, was a real missing component from history. But we're getting through the things that needed to be improved. We're much more efficient than we used to be. I mean, we got our second quarter financials out a full 2 weeks early, coming year end and coming off a pretty tough audit. But I think it's a reflection of the financial and accounting controls and systems that had to be put in place. The accounting team have done a great job from the top level at the public company side, all the way down to the people on the ground in the clinics dealing with our books and our accounting and reports each and every day. They're rolling up so much so that we're getting these quarters rolled out 2 weeks early, going forward. That's what we expect.
Yeah, and that blew me away because, look, I've dealt with hundreds of companies in the small cap space over my career, and typically the typical small cap company is racing on the, you try and talk to a CEO 2 days before the quarter's due, and they're scrambling and they're not taking anyone's calls and they're losing sleep. And bam, I was expecting your results to come out at the end of August, and then they are in the middle of August. So that speaks volumes for everyone watching at home. Six Sigma certified. This is the first Six Sigma certified CEO we've ever had, and the first one I've ever heard of, period, in the Canadian small cap scene. So, Steve, I got to tell you, that brings a great deal of confidence to people that are watching this, and being able to put your results out 2 weeks early just points to that your systems are all systems go. Last question, big vision. You've now had about 8 months of taking over the company, cleaning things up, efficiencies, fixing everything that was broken. It seems like it's almost there where it's your baby now. Tell us what the next 18 months looks like into the end of 2020.
Yeah, I think the big next phase for us is really our commitment to vertical integration, going downstream into extraction. For me, that's the next big phase of our development. We've taken control of our first extraction facility just outside Portland, Oregon. We just got awarded our Oregon Department of Agriculture hemp handler's license. We've got an application in for our food permit license as well. And the hemp handler's license is a big milestone for us. That gives us permission to operate and actually begin our hemp-derived extraction build-out. So that's the next phase. Extraction is critically important for us because it feeds our product strategy, is terrific for revenue, is terrific for margin, but most important, I think it really allows us to connect the efficacy and the potential efficacy of treatment options at our clinics with our 165,000 patients, all the way downstream to the research and the science behind extraction and how that feeds into formulations going forward. I think that topic of true efficacy for our patients in this CBD hemp-derived world will be such an interesting topic and sort of game-changing topic for the future. So extraction is next for us. It's a big deal. We're really going to focus on it. I think it's going to be a real game changer for us in 2020 and beyond as we stabilize those revenues. And it's on the public company side, it's another area for us to execute on and deliver, big time financial results for the future.
Steve, I'm going to tell you that this is one of the best first interviews we've ever had.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. You've got the operation, you got the existing operation as it is. You've got the systems in place for growth. You've got the products for growth, and now you've got a vertical integration strategy where a lot of people throw around, yeah, we want to be vertically integrated. It really means nothing, but you're already proving that if you're saying it, that's something you're probably going to achieve. So I'm looking forward to having you back on here a few more times for the end of the year, holding your feet to the fire. But I think more importantly, I think what's going to happen is we're just going to be in more awe of what you were able to accomplish, and looking forward to seeing what you're going to do for everybody in the next 6 months and beyond.
Great. Thank you, George. Thank you for the time. Much appreciated.
You've been watching Steve McAuley. He's CEO over at Empower Clinics. The company trades on the CSE under the stock symbol CBDT. For our friends in the U.S. on the OTCQB as of August the 20th, actually, another great accomplishment by the company, getting listed on the OTCQB. That symbol EPWCF. And for our friends in Germany on Frankfurt under 8EC. You've heard what Steve had to say. Now the rest is up to you to start your due diligence. Get to Agoracom, punch in the company's name or stock symbol. Take a look at the profile of information we've given you. Watch this interview again. And then get into the forum. It's a CEO verified forum where you can post your question and Steve and or his team will answer that for you. And for me, that kind of access is just another level of confidence when the company provides that kind of access. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've discovered your next great small cap company. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.